and welcome to episode 2 of the Thrift Store Makeover, where we are altering the viral ABC book by Marion Bataille. This is a fabulous pop-up book and we are turning it into an Alice in Wonderland themed art journal. So without further ado, let's just get started. So the first prompts we are tackling today is C and D. So this is the first page in the book where we have more than one letter on a page, which makes it a little bit more interesting. Some of the future pages are going to be quite challenging. I'm trying to get my head around them already. Oh, and thank you for the suggestions. I've had some great suggestions. I also realised I don't have a prompt for Z. I don't know why I said that. So I've had some great suggestions. So we're looking for X, Y and Z. Thankfully it's going to be a while before we get there, but Alice in Wonderland themed prompts with those letters, any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. I do have one for X that has just really struck a chord, so I think I know what I'm doing for that. So Y and Z, please do help me. So obviously for C we are going with Cheshire Cat, and this is one of my sketches when I originally launched JMC Designs. As you may imagine, I'm rather inspired by Alice in Wonderland, so my first physical collection did have an Alice in Wonderland themed, and this was my version of the Cheshire Cat. I love the fact that he's got a teacup and a mouse on his head as well, and I called him Chester. So this is my Chester, really delighted with him. And we've just put it away. I quite like the fact that this is almost hidden away and it's quite a small canvas. It was almost like designing something for an ATC. It was just nice and small, and I enjoyed that aspect of this particular prompt. That was quite good. Now we blocked out that horrible red. I think we're going to end up doing that with most of them, to be honest. So we've changed it to a nice purple so that it matches the whole theme of the Cheshire Cat. Once again, I've used an acrylic markers. They're great for covering absolutely anything. And again, to make it feel a bit more like the Cheshire Cat, I have gone in and added a few pink stripes as well. And I just thought, yeah, it kind of almost looks like the Cheshire Cat's tail as well as it covering the sea. I looked into my book to actually find the word Cheshire Cat so that we have evidence of the prompt, and just cut that out and stuck it over the sea. Finally, we just added a few little doodly borders. I kept them really loose and sketchy. Seem to really like that in this particular episode. We've got a lot of sketchy lines, and then finally I just also added some sketchy lines around the little square of paper that we have just to frame it, and that is the sea all done. So now to move on to D. For D, I'm going with the prompt, or with the theme Drink Me. Now the front page of this book has this gorgeous bottle, which I thought would be great for the prompt Drink Me. However, I don't like the colours, I don't particularly like the feel of it. It's kind of shiny and glossy, which is a bit yucky, so it needs altered. So to alter it, the very first thing I do is cover it in clear gesso, because I want to keep some elements of the bottle but not others. I blank out the label on the front because I definitely don't want all of that Alice in Wonderland, but because it's the prompt, the whole book's Alice in Wonderland, not that particular page. So I wanted to block that out so that we could just have it a bit more generic, and also I wanted to add the prompt Drink Me. I wanted a painterly look. So again, I've come in with my Artex markers and I changed the colours. I'm sorry that I kept putting my head in the screen. I've tried to edit this within an inch of its life so that you don't keep seeing the top of my head for some reason. As I was filming this particular day, I felt the need to keep sticking my head under the camera. I'm very sorry. I think it was kind of detailed work and I was trying to get my head right in to see it. So just as well I recently had it dyed and you're not seeing my roots. So yeah. Anyway, I keep going over it with blue and with white, trying to make it look very painterly. Then I pull in some of these kind of orangey goldy colours just to give the label a bit of an edge. And these pens are really good. They're great for organising, creating a sort of blended painterly look. Once again, I am just writing in here freehand. I tend to write it in first and then go over it and create thinner and thicker lines and sort of little extra details. I'm not very good at lettering, so if I go in to try and do that straight away it would have been a mess, but that way I can kind of make it work. And then finally I just do some very kind of nondescript writing. We need to change that D because again the black and the red is really not going, so we come in with again an Artex pen. These are great for covering over things. I absolutely love these pens but also hate them at the same time. I love them when they work. When they work, they're the best thing since sliced bread. Absolutely love them, but I am finding these Artix markers, I've not had them that long and they are getting quite dry, a lot of them, and sometimes they work and flow and sometimes they don't. So yeah, I need to find more acrylic markers because I do like them, but these ones are driving me a little bit insane. Anyway, now to create the full page. I wasn't completely sure what I was going to do, so once again I've gone into my Alice in Wonderland book. I have a feeling that this is kind of going to happen on most pages. I just actually like the idea of the script and the story being in the background, even if it isn't a main feature of it. I quite like these sort of Harlequin elements, so I added those in too, and yeah, just stuck a little bit down until we decide what we are going to do. Ideally I should have put gesso over it before I put the paper down, but I'm kind of working in reverse because my brain wasn't working, so we added a little bit of white gesso, and then I am going in to kind of sketch out, kind of wanted it to look like the bottle had this sort of these drips, and I wanted it to look very fanciful, like it was a magical potion, which it is, because you know when she drinks it she either gets smaller or bigger, so that's not normal. I like the idea of that, and also there is a scene in Alice in Wonderland where she kind of gets carried in a glass bottle with her tears, so hence why I wanted to add the bit at the bottom. You can see there I'm struggling with those Artix markers, so with that particular blue it wasn't wanting to work, so I pulled out actual acrylic paint and went in with a brush. I don't know why, I do find the markers so much easier to have control with. I definitely get far more control with the actual markers than I do with a brush, which is why I kind of lean towards them. But in this particular instance, I do decide that I would be better off with a brush and just getting it in. Now I wanted this to look like little magical potions, so I started to add an element of pink. I almost wanted them to look like drips of little miniature galaxies. That's what was in my head. So I've deepened some of it with a slightly darker blue in some of the corners, and I'm just kind of keeping working them until I find that I am happy with how they look. So once I had got all of that done, I kind of realised the blue that I had used for the letter was too dark. It kind of clashed a little bit. So I used the same paint that I had been using on the drips. And it was a lovely iridescent paint as well. It was very pearlescent. So I liked the look of that, and I just blocked it out. Now again, this is where I prefer the paint markers to a brush because I struggled with the accuracy of getting it down, but we just kind of kept going and kept working it until I was happy. I kind of realised that I wasn't overly happy with how the page was looking. I didn't like all the grey at the top, so I just kind of whited a little bit out of that out with a bit more gesso, and then decided to come round at the edges with some distress ink. I don't know why, but for this particular page I was finding that the white space really bothered me. Sometimes I'm okay with white space, but I just wasn't really enjoying how this looked at all. So after I'd gone around the edges, I pulled out a stencil. This is an Art Inspirations one, so that's part of Leonie's brand, and I have used that and kind of dried it to pull up the page. It looks like water, which is quite cool because I think that works with the design. So then finally we are sticking our sort of painterly bottle onto the page and sticking it down. So it looks alright at this stage, but watch the difference once we start to put an outline on it. If you're hearing a little bell rattling in the background, is my cat. She's decided to join me, and she's an amazing hunter. So she does have a collar with a bell, and in our best attempts to try and protect the wildlife. But when she's cleaning herself like that, we're just getting a constant tinkle, which is a bit annoying, so sorry about that. Anyway, this is where I turn these drips into a little bit of a galaxy effect by adding lots and lots of dots and adding a few little star effects. I still wasn't liking the white space, so I decided to add some pink splashes. And then that is the page all finished there. I'm not sure if I should have put the pink on at the end, but you know, we did it and it's okay. I can't say that this is my favourite page in the book, but yeah, it fits the prompt and I do quite enjoy it. Now, we have this one here again. We have two letters, but as you can see, the mechanism is a little bit broken. So I knew I needed to fix that first, and I do not have a mechanical brain. So I had to work out what I was going to do about this. So I pulled it out, and I feel that the reason it doesn't work is as the book has been opened and closed, there's been a little bit of a bending happen. So we've got like a bit of a ridge there where the card has been bent, and I think the fact it bends there, that's what's stopping it from opening and closing properly. So I decided I just needed to make a new strip. So I don't do measuring. I really struggle. If I try and measure, it all goes horribly wrong. So the more I measure, the worse it gets. So I just did my usual and traced round it and marked where the line of colour should go. And I cut that out of another piece of cardstock. So I cut it out twice and then glued them together so that it would be nice and strong. Once I did that, I then went to where my mark was and coloured in black, and also I went in and coloured the other parts of the letter as well. Really not liking the red. I mean, there might be some pages where it works, maybe when we start getting to the Queen of Hearts and things like that, but for the rest of it, not a big fan. So block that out with black and then reattach the element. So I'm pulling that one out, popping that through. I was about to put it there and then realised there was an extra bit of the mechanism that I hadn't quite taken into account, so we do it properly, get that through and glue it down. I did wait till the glue was dry because I didn't want anything to end up breaking the mechanism, so I waited until that was all dry before I moved on to the next bits. And as you can see, I gave it a good I kept moving it back and forth to make sure it worked. To be honest, this page was okay. It was fairly, I didn't want to be doing anything with it. I want to keep it as a white space, but because it was an old book in second hand, there was a few marks in it, so I decided to white it out with gesso anyway, just to give it a nice, clean, fresh look. And once again, I am coming in with elements from the Princess of Hearts collection. So I am going for F for Flamingo and E for Eat Me, and both of these blend in really well. So I brought in the Harlequin paper just to kind of ground those images and stick them down. It took me a little bit here because it was in two bits of paper, and I wanted to be lined up so it looked like it had come from one bit of paper, and that it wasn't on a wonk. So I just had to kind of measure that out before sticking it down, and then put all the different pieces in, and then I like it when it's done. I think it works. It looks like it's meant to be. To be honest, I really wanted the big flamingo, but it kind of really fully covered the F. So we've just gone for the littler sized flamingo and two of these cakes. So this particular collection was inspired by the Descendants film Red, where it kind of looked into the Queen of Hearts and how she became how she was. So the whole collection is very pink, and I do like black and pink together. So I've just stuck with that as a colourway. This is a little die that is in the Tea Time Die collection, and I just thought I would add that, and also I've come in with the playing card symbols again, because nothing, I don't know, flamingos and playing cards and Harlequin, they just scream Alice in Wonderland, don't they? So I came in, once again, blacked them out using the Artex paint marker. I'm going to cry when this one runs out because I'm definitely using the black one more than anything else. And once again, I am going in and adding a little bit of text, just freehand, and having it say Eat Me, and I'm going to turn the playing cards into dangles. We did actually see that on the page A. I think we could see it a few times before the book is finished, but yeah, we have got playing card dangles. So we stick those down, get out our doodly pen and add those dangles in so that they are all set as they should be. And there was a little bit, I liked the white space on this, but it was a bit too white, so I just added a few little dots and circles in various areas, and there we go. That is E and F all done as well. Moving on to the final page today, we are using the letter G. So for this one, I am painting the background. I want to create a gradient between blue and green. Now, I didn't really need to gesso it. This paper has quite a good tooth as it is, and it was all white, so I didn't feel the need to gesso with this, and acrylic paint tends to go over most things. Now, the paint I have for both blue and green is iridescent. I didn't want an iridescent look, but if you mix it with a white matte, it tends to kind of knock that pearlescent look out of it anyway. So I painted the bottom half green, then I painted the top half blue, and yeah, even painted the underneath part of of the mechanism, and then even painted inside the bits of the letter G as well. So we've got this blue to green gradient, and that is because I am wanting to create a scene. So I'm freehanding all of this. Can't believe how brave I've been on this page. Part of me, I think the flowers have done well, but we'll see how the page goes. You can let me know what you think. So I am freehanding some flowers because this page is inspired by the scene in Alice in Wonderland where she meets all the flowers and they sing, they think she's a flower, and they all sing the song. So that is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to turn them into a kawaii style flowers. I start off by sketching in white so that we didn't have nasty black lines or HB pencil to try and cover up, and I am coming in with my Artix markers. Now, I have also purchased but not done a review or opened them properly and played with some Artix Sim Tap markers. Most people rave about the Artix markers and I do love them. However, the only person that I have seen that actually discusses the drying out issue and how annoying that is Ashley Monet. She kind of talks about that. But I know that she loves the Sim Tap markers, and I've seen the Sim Tap markers move as well. So they're a similar thing. They've still got the brush tip, but instead of it being all just in the barrel, you actually have to activate it. It's almost like you know when you get a clicky ballpoint pen, it's almost like a clicker at the top, and you have to click that for the paint to come down. And I see that more people have less issues with that these ones seem to be favoured. So I've only got a small set of those, but I did resort to using them for the white and for one of the yellows in this particular page, and I did like it. It was much juicier. However, I've only just got them. When I originally got the Artix acrylic markers, I loved them. Had I actually, do you know, I filmed a whole video of me unboxing them and doing a review, but had that actually gone live at the time, I would have raved about them, whereas now I have lots of question marks. So in a way I think it's good that it's been a long time because I have been using them, so now might be a good time to sort of look at that in a bit more detail. But the Sim Taps one do seem to kind of solve a little bit of a problem. Now I really like the sketchy look that I had when I sketched it out in white and wanted to kind of keep that. I like the looseness of it. So I decided that when I outlined it, instead of going for a perfect outline, I sketched it. You can see I was holding the pen from quite far back. And then for some bizarre reason, I decided, I mean, I was always going to do the kawaii style. They were always going to have faces, but I think I should have sketched it out in white and got it right first. I just went straight in with black pen. I mean, actually, what was I thinking? So this top daisy just ends up looking horrific. I'm not going to lie. I mean, look at this. When I know I produce art for the craft world and I produce stamps, but when I sketch, there's a lot of sketching and there's a lot of erasing and there's a lot of correcting before it looks right. So why I thought I'd be able to go straight in and it looked fine, I don't know. Thankfully, down to paint markers, you can see the eyes have been whited out in that daisy. Thankfully, because of the paint markers, I was able to kind of go in with white and give it a second go, which was good anyway, because with the eyeballs you do want white in there and not yellow in the background. So I've managed to fix them up. I think all of the characters look okay, but yeah, they're maybe not the best. I go in and draw some music notes because it was inspired by that scene where they are all singing, and that is what I was wanting it to represent. So we cover it with music notes, and I just wrote garden flowers in the bottom. So that is our G page all done. So as a review of this week, we did C and D. We have done E and F. And we have done G. So if you want to see the previous video, you can check out the playlist here, and hopefully you can join me for some more.